Former New York Magazine writer Olivia Nuzzi recently released her tell-all book titled American Canto. The book goes into detail on her alleged sexting scandal with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Nuzzi lost her job when reports of the scandal came to light last year and has largely stayed out of the public eye since then.
But now, with the release of her book, Nuzzi has been doing more media appearances. Here she was on the Bulwark podcast getting emotional about how she was afraid when the news of the scandal broke.
Well, I lost my job, right? I was fired. Right. I was fired and I was in hiding and I was afraid.
Scared? Were you scared? Yeah.
I was terrified.
Of what?
I mean, I write in the book about, I was terrified of the man I did not marry. And I was very worried about people knowing where I was. And
I'm sorry.
After briefly pausing the interview to gather herself, Nuzzi continued.
I was just scared in general, and I felt like I felt very vulnerable in general. And, it was very clear to me by the time I made it out here that no one was going to protect me, right? That it seemed as though no one really had any boundaries.
In the book, Nuzzi says she offered advice to RFK Jr. as he weighed his decision to ultimately suspend his presidential campaign and endorse Donald Trump for president in the 2024 election. She also claims he was using the psychedelic drug DMT during this time. For his part, RFK has denied claims entirely that he was romantically involved with Nuzzi in any way. This story.
This is like so much drama.
I know, and possibly no real person cares about it, and maybe it's just media insidery stuff.
Well, I think the bigger thing for me is the journalism aspect, right? So if you're doing a job of reporting on somebody and then you have all this information that you release in your tell-all, but
it's not really a tell-all. It does not tell all.
Well, tell little. Yeah, I know people were criticizing that. But it's just like your job was kind of to share the information that you gathered, like we talked about in that Atlantic article with Josh Shapiro. Over months of talking to him in different conversations, you gathered his actual feelings about Kamala. Like, the job of a reporter is kind of to get that in there. So now when we're having this, all the criticism of what's going on, like, well, once you put a book out, you're basically asking for people to critique it.
I agree with that. I think that's the issue. I've said this, I know her a little bit. She's gone through something. She lost her job. She got a new one. I don't know that she's going to hang on to this one. I feel bad for her on some level, and I want to give her privacy, really, and not talk about this, but she wrote a book and is doing a media tour about it. I think it would have been better to not do that, but she made the choice to do that, and then this affair involves a very powerful, important person, politically relevant, and she was a political journalist. She was and is. She got a new position as a political journalist.
Right.
We can't not ask questions that she's clearly uncomfortable asking and is not being totally forthright about. So she would be entitled to just not talk about this, but she didn't choose that route. So we have to ask these questions that then it feels like, well, you're trying to, get somebody when they're down. It's uncomfortable to do it. It's just uncomfortable to watch. I feel very uncomfortable, but I don't know what else. She brought that on it by writing the book.
And in her defense, just
she
to
should have
share,
waited
no,
years
but maybe, but also there's a criticism like, why are all the thought pieces not about RFK right now? Why are they about, like, I know she wrote the book, but now we have some information.
She's talking, and Ryan Lizza, her ex, is talking.
Yes, he brought up
who's the only person who's not talking? RFK Jr. And it goes to show you that there is a power in silence. He just said, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're talking about.
His wife.
And that's that.
By RFK's wife's disposition, I think that there's a lot of friction there. I don't know that she believes that he didn't.
He's a Kennedy. It was probably raised on that mindset that when you screw up, as many Kennedys have in the history of time, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do it, and that's that. And is there a power in just shutting up?
Yeah, but I think there still could be.
I think there's a
pieces
lesson
about
there
what RFK
for people
may
who
or
try
may
to
not
post through their canceling or their scandal or their controversy. Just don't say anything at all is
that your route?
the right approach.
Sometimes.
Well, if I was doing like crisis PR advising, that's what I would tell you to do if that's my role. My role is as journalist, so my role is to do the opposite, is to, advise you to do what Tim Miller's doing in that discussion.
Oh.
No, get you to say more. Our role is the role of the police interrogator. We want the suspect to keep talking. That's why the police always get you to say something incriminating, because confession is good for the soul, and people want to reveal. It's not useful to do so. If I was advising you as your defense attorney, I would say, just shut up. That does it for us on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel so that you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts. See you later.